Well, it's a no good, dirty, riding, foggy headed morning trying to find my way back home.
Howdy, y'all. This is Jason Kyle Wickens. I want to welcome you into the first episode of my new podcast, the Foggy Headed Podcast, brought to you in partnership by Mossy Horn Whiskey. We can't wait to show you some awesome cocktails and all of the bourbons and whiskeys that they have out. You can buy them at a lot of different places in Texas. We're super excited to be partnering with those guys. I have one very special guest for this inaugural episode. I first met this man about a year or two ago after hearing him on the Gotta Love Texas Music podcast with Catherine and Tim Odom. I love those guys to death. They're amazing people. They do so much for the music community. But without further ado, one of the most exquisite songwriters I've had the chance to be around and listen and actually have open for us a couple of times, Mr. Chris Cunningham. What's going on, buddy?
How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Now that we're finally rolling, I get to talk to you again in person.
Hey, that's all right. Nobody has to know what the forefront looks like,
right? Well, it's just like music, you know. Nobody gets the background.
Yeah, no, nobody knows.
Well, I want to start with a question I think is very common, maybe cliche, but I think it's important.
Okay.
When did you start playing and writing?
I think I was about 12 years old. I had a cousin that he's passed now, but he forgot to get me anything for Christmas, so he ran to his bedroom and frantically looked around for things that he didn't want or need anymore, and he just stumbled upon an old classical guitar, and he brought it in the living room. He's like, "Here, I got you this for Christmas," and I'm pretty sure he took the bow off of another bag that was under the tree. And
regifting action?
Yeah, kind of. But he gave me that, and I didn't really think much of it. I was still kind of excited because, like I said, I think I was 12. I might have been 11 or 12. And so I took it home, and it set the case for a really long time. And, eventually my grandma used to give me cards for every holiday imaginable. And
money in there.
Yeah, and that's exactly where it's going. I think there was $10 or $15 that she had put in a card for St. Patrick's Day.
Very good.
And so I got my mom, and I was like, I want to go to Walmart and I want to get a poster with all the guitar chords on it.
Oh, sure.
And I'm going to put it up on my wall. So I got the poster, and then she bought me the frame, so it stayed nice because I'm a terrible child.
I'll just tack it to the wall.
Yeah, no, she knew I would do that, and she didn't want me to do that. So she got me the frame, and I put it up on the wall, and I sat there with my head cocked like this, trying to figure out, how to play chords. And I said, I'm not going to leave this room until I can play at least one chord.
Sure.
And so obviously, like so many others, I started with a G chord, and, the rest was history. I wrote my first song when I was 15.
Oh, very cool. So, see, I've been playing for about 10 years, playing guitar, playing out, gigging. I didn't write my first song until 2017, actually, after my grandfather died. I lived in North Carolina, and I haven't played that song in many, many years. And you're in this situation too, a lot of people are. There's some songs that don't need to be played.
Right.
You just kind of write them for yourself.
Totally understand.
And so that's how that song kind of came about. I played it a couple times at some of my first few gigs, but that was right when I was starting, the acoustic route. I was trying to be as personable and vulnerable as possible, which is very important.
Yeah.
That being said, how do you kind of differentiate between, writing a fun kind of outlaw angry song versus writing a love song or a depression song?
Oh, well, it's real simple. I don't do that. I write a lot of music for the downtrodden people.
Okay.
That's where I've always fit in. It's what I can relate the most with, and I think one of the things that I stick the most true to is I will not write a song about something I have not lived.
Okay, very good.
There will never be anybody in this world that can convey a message about something they haven't been through.
Absolutely.
And there's so many people that are, my Chevy S10 and the tailgate and the bonfire and on Friday. Yeah. I can't do all that. Like, we had fun Friday nights and bonfires and all that, but like that's such a short span of time in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't take long after that for real life to kick in.
Sure.
And, a lot of people that like me grew up with a whole lot of nothing. And there was many nights where Vienna sausages were dinner, and I would rather sing you a song about, it is possible to see the other side of that than, I'm going to go get my baby on the back road. And
there's a light at the end.
Yeah. I want to help the people that need it. That's why I write the songs I do. I've written some love songs. They probably won't ever be recorded because they're not that great, because I'm not really good at giving a happy message in a song.
Gotcha, yeah, sure.
So, but yeah, no, that's I just kind of, I think the direct answer is I just kind of stay in my lane and write what I know how to write.
Well, this kind of takes me to my next point. You know, a lot of your songs, or majority of them, are downtrodden and sad, a little depressing, maybe a little anxious, but you meld them seemingly perfectly with a melody, which brings me to my next point when it comes to crafting a song versus writing a song.
Okay.
How do you differentiate?
I'm a very unique person in that aspect, and the reason I say that is because I can be driving down the road and the words start coming the same time as the melody. It's not something I have to search for. I don't have to look for it. A lot of times, the songs that I write, there's really two paths they take. One will be I'm driving down the road, lyrics hit my head, and I start telling my voice recorder, whatever, and the melody's already there with it. It's just like it just pops into my head. And then there's the other set of songs that I find a chord progression that I really, really like. There's something about, the feelings that I'm having at that time. I can just go to that chord progression. I'm like, yeah, that's the one. And so, a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people have, just this one track. This is the way I have to write a song.
Sure.
I'm going to write these lyrics, then I'm going to find the melody, and then I'm going to find the chord, and I'm pretty versatile in that way.
Yeah. And I seem to find myself constantly getting stuck with a certain metric or maybe a certain stance because I'm very, I like hard rhymes.
Yeah.
Which is not always great for music. Near rhymes are more than likely better, just because there's so much variation in the words you can use. So that's something that, I've written quite a few songs in my lifetime.
Right. You definitely write quantity. You definitely write more songs than I do, for sure.
I'm not sure about that. We'll have to compare, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we've sent each other our fair share of demos and pre-release recordings and everything of that nature.
And it's important to have that circle too. You gotta have other musicians and songwriters that you can connect with on a deeper level rather than just, hey, throw me on there so I can make a couple bucks. Throw me on it. It's so much deeper than that because you have to have people that you can bounce ideas off of that don't expect anything from you.
Be sure to subscribe for the latest music, podcast, and show information. And don't forget to hit that like button.
Well, that's the big thing, and like I said, as I mentioned when we, started this podcast, I met you maybe a year, maybe two years ago. I'm not sure because I think it was 2 years ago. It was at the party at Kearney's, I believe. That was the first time I met you.
Yeah, that
celebration.
It was the big. Was that a Gotta Love Texas thing?
That was their anniversary party.
Okay, that's right. It was their 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, you, me, Billy Joe, Jeff Canada, Jackson Randolph, a bunch of guys.
Yeah. There was a lot of people there for that. That was a really good time. Landry Wilkinson is another buddy from East Texas. He's an extremely talented sound engineer.
Yeah, he's fantastic, but he doesn't hold a flame to my bassist Russ, I gotta say.
Oh yeah, well that's only because he can edit little devil horns on you right now. He can't do anything about it.
Well, that's not Russ. Russ isn't here.
Oh, okay. Well, you still got some pretty powerful people sitting over here behind the computer that I imagine it wouldn't take very much to make you look foolish on camera.
Oh yeah, no. If I do one thing wrong, Roman and Doc might try to ruin this video, but we'll get away from that.
Well, hopefully he FaceTimes me and we can laugh about it.
Hey man, the other thing I want to ask is, and I think we're a little similar in terms of music, but in personality we are polar opposites.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm one of the most shut-in, anxious, introverted people I know.
Yeah.
And you are one of the most extroverted and funny and jovial people I know, which I think it's very interesting to see that split between different musician personalities.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is because, I suffer a lot from like imposter syndrome almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I get off stage, like I'm not worth anything, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you felt that way. I know a lot of people do, a lot of people don't. And it's strange because we love what we do, right?
Right.
But there are these aspects of being down, not performing to people, right?
I think a lot more people have what you deal with. They just don't. They're not as open about it.
Right. They don't
like
wear their heart on their sleeves.
Right. I'm somebody that, people don't ever get the chance to see me in shutdown mode because I make sure of it.
Sure. So you're always performing, basically.
Yeah, I am. And there's very few people in my life that get to see me as everything that I am.
Sure.
And that's I've never really thought much about it because I don't. That's when you go for music and you go all in like I have. You focus on it 24 hours a day. You really do. But it's nice to be in the quiet. It's nice to be away from people. It's nice to, I call it hiding.
Right. Yeah. Your little hole. Right?
Yeah. I do like to hide. There's days at a time. Like I'm like, I don't have a show. I don't have, any rights set up. I don't have to go write with anybody. I'm turning my phone on mute and I'm going to hide as far under this blanket as I can.
Sure.
And it's, people don't know that about me. I don't even think that's something you know about me.
I don't believe so. No. Yeah. We talk a lot, but we're still very private people.
Yeah, and
personal lives.
Yeah, it's just I think it truly is something that everybody struggles with. But when I'm on stage, I'm paid to be there.
Right, it's a job.
I'm gonna be the fun person in the room. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm going to help everybody else in the room realize that everything doesn't have to suck, even if everything sucks.
Right, sure.
That's always my main objective. Remove people from whatever it is in their life that they need to be rid of at that time.
Right, and I think that's maybe for me personally, that's why I enjoy performing so much, because I know I feel like shit sometimes, right? And I know other people do.
Yeah.
But you want to take them out of that realm, right? Even if it's just for an hour, right? Mm-hmm. You just want to alleviate some of that stress and let them know that, hey, we came out, we had a great time, we had some drinks, can't wait to go see him again. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. That's, I've developed quite a dedicated little following out west. Shout out to my Cleburne and Weatherford people. I know y'all watch this because y'all are awesome. But they show up at everything.
Right.
Like it doesn't matter what they got going on in their life. That they show up, and sometimes they look tired, sometimes they look ready to party. But,
so do we.
But yeah, and it's really good for people like us to know that we have people like that in our corner, especially knowing that they have no idea what goes on the backside. So.
Well, didn't we played a song swap at Willow Creek last year?
Yeah, at Railhead Barbecue.
Railhead, not Willow Creek.
Well, it's in Willow Park, Texas.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I got my names confused.
Yeah, no, it's easy to do. But that was a really fun experience for me because, we had talked back and forth. This is a friendship thing and songwriting things back and forth. But that was a really, really good time for me because then I got to hear what I call your radio voice.
Oh, yeah.
When you start talking directly into a microphone, I'm like, this guy.
Howdy, y'all. This is Jason Kyle.
Yeah, you do that.
Well, I did work in radio for 4 years, so I have the persona.
Well, yeah, that's cheating. I feel like that's cheating. But yeah, I had a really good time at that show, and I'm looking forward to hopefully this year, maybe in the summertime, doing some more stuff with you, doing some acoustic stuff.
We definitely got to get back out there. Like I said, I'm back to music pretty much full time now. So
good deal. You should be. You're extremely talented. There's no reason for you to not be.
Well, I got another question for you, and it might not make a whole lot of sense, but when it comes to songwriting out of depression, anxiety, anger, joy, zeal, whatever it is, do you think songwriting is a cure, or do you think it's a symptom, or both?
Both. It's the symptom that creates the cure. There's songwriting is, to me, for a lot of people, especially for myself, you can take everything you're feeling and make it go away. And it's a place where there's no rules.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place where you can say everything that might have been said a million times, but you can say it your way.
Right.
And when you say it your way, there might be somebody that hears that song that needed to hear it that way to comprehend it.
Right.
And
it's a different vocabulary. So
right. Yeah. And then there's always that off chance that you say something that nobody's ever said and everybody's been thinking it, you know?
Right.
But, you know, I don't, there's been a lot of really happy people that I've encountered that you know, they hear songs that I've written, and I'll be talking. I always introduce songs when I play them and talk about specific verses or, you know, how things came about. And there's even been a lot of happy people that have walked up to me and they're like, hey, man, you know, the last verse of that song is
pretty dark,
a little concerning.
Right.
You okay?
I get that. We've got a song coming out with the album called The Other Side of Lonely that I wrote about Kurt Cobain. And I co-wrote it with a guy named Corey Grubb. And I remember when I first wrote it, everybody was like, dude, are you good?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, it's just a song, I swear. It's a story, right?
Yeah.
I'm writing about Kurt Cobain because I've always been interested with him. Not musically necessarily. I'm not a big Nirvana fan.
Yeah, it's just his life.
As a person and someone that felt things so deeply. That's how I like to write. And there's a lot of country guys that do as well. You know, Jason Boland, Somewhere Down in Texas, it's one of the saddest songs you could ever hear.
But and it's always ironic to think about the fact that a guy from Oklahoma wrote one of the most beautiful songs about Texas.
Well, not to mention that he really did the perfect thing when they recorded it and live still, where they played the Yellow Rose of Texas at the very end of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely genius by Lloyd Maines.
Yeah.
One of my favorite producers of all time. I wish I would have the chance to meet him. So when it comes to booking, how have you found great success doing that? And how has networking changed that trajectory?
Time has been the key to booking. You know, a lot of these young guys get out, or not even necessarily young, but people that hadn't been doing it very long. They're like, man, you're booked up forever. How do you do this? You're always playing. That's because I spent years and years not getting booked anywhere.
Building up your Rolodex.
Yes, absolutely. It comes down to the Rolodex. You got to get in bed with booking agents. You got to get in good with venues.
Right.
You know, you have to go to networking events. Like if you are getting into the music industry and you are not going to events when you are not playing, you are not going to succeed.
Sure.
You have to get out there and talk to the people that make things happen, or you're going to be very bored.
Right. Well, and that's part of the thing that we talked about. You know, I'm super introverted. It's just hard for me to talk to people.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's because, you know, I don't always think I'm as good as I am.
And it's wild to me that it's hard for you to talk to people because we have never had a bad conversation.
Yeah,
I've never been like this awkward son of a bitch.
Well, we very rarely talk in person.
Well, even when we do, there's no gaps, there's no holes.
Right.
There's you carry yourself very well through conversation, and that's why it just eats me alive. I'm like, why is he so anxiety ridden for like no reason?
And it is weird because I used to do sales. I mean, that's what music is too. It's
it's definitely
sales.
selling yourself.
When I was doing
prostitution with clothes on.
When I was doing electrical sales, I was the same way. I'm great at it. I just don't enjoy talking to people when it comes to, you know, a small intimate aspect like that.
Right.
But again, I'm good at it. It's just difficult.
Yeah. And it's you know, the gift of gab is something that I've never struggled with. I grew up with a dad that was an auctioneer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, he did all that kind of stuff. He's always been dad sang and all that stuff too. So, you know, crowds are nothing new to me. Crowds don't scare me. It doesn't matter how big they are. I don't have that thing where it's just like, oh, you should be nervous. I have no reason to be nervous.
Well, when I'm on stage, it's totally different.
Yeah.
It's strange because, you know, when you're on stage, you're a different persona, right? And I tell people this, I'm Jason Kyle Wickens on stage, and then I'm just Kyle off stage.
Right. Well, you know, that's what I like most about getting off stage is actually going and talking to people, because I don't feel like your show is made by necessarily everything that happens while you're playing and singing. I think it comes from the fact that people respect somebody who's a real person.
Sure, right.
When you get down and you walk up to a specific table that's been sitting there listening to you all night, and we're like, hey, I appreciate y'all being here tonight. Thank y'all so much for hanging out. You know, time is an asset you will never get back, and you chose to spend yours on me, and I appreciate that.
Well, and it's,
you know, that opens people up. They're like, wow, this guy gets it. Like, we're going to go watch him again.
Well, and it helps humanize you, right? Especially for, you know, some of the lower league guys, myself included.
It definitely humanizes you, and it's different when I first get off stage, right? That adrenaline is pumping. You're ready for the night. Like, we're just getting warmed up by the time our set's done, right?
Right.
So my adrenaline's still pumping.
Yeah.
I'm running around. I am talking to people, but luckily, Richard, our drummer, he is a social butterfly to the max. He talks to people.
Yeah, me and him get along really well.
Yeah, a little too well.
No, it's all right. If you wake up one day and don't have a drummer, just know where he went.
Yeah, he's stuck at Chris's house out in Florida.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mike Daniels from Jason Kyle Wickens, also known as Dot,
And I'm Rich.
joined by my drummer friend Rich. We're going to do some cocktails with our partner, Mossy Horn, and today we're going to work on the sour horn, which uses their pecan liqueur, which is right here. So, start out with 2 ounces of pecan liqueur.
Okay. You can smell it. It's nice.
Yeah, you get that pecan is like
Yeah.
prominent, right?
Yeah.
It just like hits you.
Right when you open the bottle.
Go with 1 ounce of lemon, and we need 1 ounce of simple syrup.
Cocktails from the heart.
Exactly. We're cooking. I'm not trying to save somebody's life.
Come on.
All right, we add ice to our shaker cup. And we give it about a 20-second shake. That means you're 2.
All right.
That's what happens
got
when you
this,
play
I believe.
piano. Strain it off into your rocks glass. And I have the nice big whiskey rock in there.
Oh, yeah. It's the good stuff.
All right, there's one last step. Take a little lemon, get a peel
Little
off of
zesty.
it.
All right. I like where you're going.
A little bit of twist, and in. And that is your sour horn.
Yeah. Me doing what I do best. Here we go.
I thought it was drumming.
It's debatable on that. Man, I like this a lot. It's a little bit sweet, and I don't like things too sweet. The lemon kind of hits you, and then you definitely taste the pecan on the aftertaste.
yeah,
It
yeah.
all like combines. Man, it tastes like the Klondike bars that have the toffee.
Oh, wow.
So it's
Yeah,
it's
that's
it
cool.
really in a weird way. It all comes together. And
All right,
well, I'll see
Rich
ya.
is happy. That's all I needed to do.
Cheers.
Some days I wanna give up, some nights I wanna give in. Sometimes I just can't give a fuck, I just want all this to win. The only thing I ever wanted was a family and a wife. Now I live in constant fear, I can't even do that right. Begging follows me like shadow, it's leading me to the gallows saying.
That song you just heard right there is a track from the new upcoming album, Checked Out, by Mr. Chris Cunningham. That song is called Breaking Things. Chris, if you don't mind, real quickly, can you tell me how you wrote that song and why it was written?
Absolutely. I wrote it with a buddy of mine. His name's Gary. He sat down and he was telling me a bunch of things he was going through in his life and things that he fights with, demons he carries. And he's like, we need to write this down and put this in a song. And I was like, well, I was already writing, so just keep talking.
Yeah.
And so, we ended up coming up with that song. And it's one of those songs for the people that have been down on their luck and they realize that, sometimes the only thing you're good at is breaking things. And
Well, I mean, I think it's perfectly relatable.
no, it definitely is. Yeah, there's alcohol references in there. There's it basically hits all the subjects when you get in that frame of mind.
Yeah,
So,
everybody's at least had one of those proponents, if not all of them.
absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
you did that with Chad Malton, correct?
I did, and I am looking forward to seeing how these people react in the comments to Letter to Me.
Remember when it felt like time was moving slow, and the world wasn't turning fast enough for you to go. Now you're going full speed along the track. That senior year of school, one you can't rewind. Memories you never were afraid to leave behind. But to get ready, there's always more to play. I wish you could hear all the words that I say.
All right, Chris. Well, as you and everybody else just watched and listened to, that was our newest single out called Letter to Me. And we had an amazing time shooting that music video. Funny Easter egg behind that story. We were supposed to have an automatic Chevy for me to drive around in. We get to shoot set that day. We start setting up the cameras, and my keyboard player, Doc, brought his charger out. Well, come to find out, it's a manual, and I've never driven a stick before. So this music video probably took 4 additional hours than it should have. But now I can at least get out of first gear.
Hey, yeah, there you go. That's all we can ask for. Sometimes all we got to do is just be able to get down the road.
Right. Yeah, like I said, that music video was a lot of fun. We did it in-house. Please feel free to go check it out on my YouTube page. We'll actually probably link it somewhere right up here so you can watch the full thing. We're super excited to keep the music rolling. And Chris, before we head out, man, what else you got coming up? Anything new?
There's another little surprise Easter egg in the works. Me and my buddy Dakota Ritter, we have a little film thing that he's been building. We've been recording some videos and stuff. And with Cobra Productions, we are working on recording a music video for a undisclosed song right now.
I got it.
But it is a song on the album, and it is going to be a very wild music video.
Well, hey, if there's one thing musicians are, we are generally the masters of keeping secrets.
Yeah, this video has a short bus.
Okay.
Lots of alcohol consumptions. There are some people that have volunteered that have quite a large following on TikTok that are going to be involved with this. It's going to be very wild, and the Stockyards is going to be in it. So yeah.
Man, well, hey, I'm going to leave it up to the imagination. Chris has not told me anything, and he's not going to tell me.
I didn't. That's the first that he's heard of this at all.
It's the first y'all have heard of this,
Yeah.
I'm sure as well. But man, I wish we had another 2 hours to talk, but we got to get going. Chris,
Thanks.
it's been
I
an honor,
appreciate
man.
you having me. Thank you.
I love you, brother.
Love
Keep
you
riding,
back.
man.
I will do.
All right, Chris, before we get out of here, I just want you to tell everybody, where they can find you and follow you.
As far as music goes, wherever you listen to your music, you can find mine, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube. Even for some reason, I'm big shit in Thailand. I don't know why. But, all the social media platforms, it doesn't matter if it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. You can find my show schedule at hyperfollow.com/Chris Cunningham.
Well, hey, Chris, thank you so much again for having me on.
Absolutely.
It's a shame we have to end it so early, but hopefully everybody will keep tuning back into the Foggy Headed Podcast. And, as always, thank you so very kindly. This is Jason Kyle Wickens.
Be on the lookout for Jason Kyle Wickens' debut album, Red and Blue.
Well, it's a no good, dirty, riding, foggy-headed morning trying to find my way back home.
Howdy, y'all. This is Jason Kyle Wickens. I want to welcome you into the first episode of my new podcast, the Foggy Headed Podcast, brought to you in partnership by Mossy Horn Whiskey. We can't wait to show you some awesome cocktails and all of the bourbons and whiskeys that they have out. You can buy them at a lot of different places in Texas. We're super excited to be partnering with those guys. I have one very special guest for this inaugural episode. I first met this man about a year or two ago after hearing him on the Gotta Love Texas Music podcast with Catherine and Tim Odom. I love those guys to death. They're amazing people. They do so